Assalamualaikum to our lecturer, Madam Rosdianah, and our friends. My name is Nurnisa Farhana.
And my name is Nur Aleeya Binti Ramly, and we are from DIA2C, and we would like to present about business statistic on DIA students marked on KPM. So for our introduction, our topic is analysis about KPM Semester 2 Diploma in Accounting students, overall mark in Business Statistics in Session 3, 2022-2023. Our objective is to learn and understand on how to summarize the data given into a descriptive statistic that can be applied on the real-life situation.
For the sampling method, we use random sampling method where all the items have the same chance of being selected. We also use simple random sampling, which is SRS. For the data collection and variables, we choose qualitative and quantitative, where qualitative is gender and race. The quantitative is test 2, final exam, and also percentage.
For our data tabulation, our qualitative variables, we use gender for pie chart and grades for bar graph. Next, for our quantitative variables, we use histogram for test 2, cumulative frequency curve or OG for final, and frequency polygon for percentage.
So now I'm going to present you about the qualitative variables for genders, which is we use in pie chart. So the pie chart is about statistic of DIA students' genders. There are only two genders which are male and also female. From the table stated above, the number of male students is 12, while the number of female students is 18. So the total of all students is 30. The percentage of male students stated in the pie chart is 40%. Meanwhile, the percentage of female students stated there is 60%. The overall percentage for both of the DIA2C and DIA2E sample is 100%.
So for our second qualitative data variable, we use grades. So as you can see from the table we prepared, there are 3 students that get A plus and 10 students that get A solid. Next, we have 2 students that get A minus, 3 students that get B plus, 5 students that get B, 3 students that get B minus, 3 students that get C plus, 1 student that get C, and 0 students that get C minus. The highest number of students marked is grade A solid, which comprise 10 students. As for the lower grade, which is grade C minus, the number of students is 0. This brings a meaning that most of the students get grade A in the range of A plus until C. So, this is the frequency distribution table for KPM, DIA, 2C and 2E for test 2. From the graph above, we use upper class boundaries as the x-axis and cumulative frequency as the y-axis to get the picture of DIA, 2C and DIA, 2E marked in test 2. The highest cumulative frequency is at 30, while upper class boundaries is at 14.95. Next is the second highest, which is 16 at cumulative frequency and 8.95 for upper class boundaries. The lowest cumulative frequency is at 6, while the upper class boundary is at 6.95. The ogive graph shows that it is increasing, which is a normal distribution. As a total, we took a sum of 30 students to collect the data.
So this is a simplified information that we got from the sample data for both classes, DIA2C and also DIA2E for final exam. So for final exam, the graph is about DIA students' final exam marks. For this graph of data, we choose to use the number of students, which is F, on the axis Y, and the lower boundaries on the axis X. From the data above, we got 2 students for lower boundaries 10.05, which is lowest. Next, we got both 7 students for both of the lower boundaries 20.05 and the lower boundaries 30.05. Lastly, we got 14 students for lower boundaries 40.05, which is also the highest one in the data shown. The total of the students here is 30 people.
Next, we got the frequency distribution table for percentage. For DIA 2C and 2E marks percentage, we provide frequency polygon as diagram to show the data we collected. We took 15 students from each class to complete the table. The x-axis is the percentage while the y-axis is the number of students. The highest number of students is at 11, where they got a range of 18.1 till 90% for their marks, while the lowest number of students is 2, which they got a range of 90.1 until 100% for their marks. By applying the formula we stated before, the answer we got for mean for test 2 is 8.95, and the answer for mode that we obtained for test 2 is 8.28. Next, the median answer we got for test 2 is 8.75. Moving on, for final exam, the mean we got for final exam is 36.05. For the mode, we got 2 model class. The first one that we obtained is 30.05, and the second model class is the same for first model class, that is 30.05. The median we got for final exam is 38.66. We move on to percentage. The answer we got for mean for percentage is 74.72. Next, the mode answer we got for percentage is 84.05. Next, the median answer we got for percentage is 76.05.
The next one is standard deviation. So, there are 2 formulas for finding standard deviation, which is the first one is for a sample the same as 30 or above the 30. But the second one is the sample below than 30. So we choose the first one because our sample data is 30. So we have to choose the first one. For the test 2, the standard deviation that we got using the formula is 2.81. And for the final, the standard deviation that we got using the formula is 9.78. And for the percentage, the standard deviation that we got using the formula is 11.97. The third one is coefficient of variation. So the formula for finding COV is standard deviation divided by mean times 100%. So for the test 2, the answer for coefficient of variation for that we obtain is 24.36%. And for the final, the answer for COV is 27.13%. For percentage, the answer of COV that we got is 16.02%. The last one is calculation for finding skewness. So these are the formula for finding skewness. So there are 2, which is the first one is 3 times mean minus median divided by standard deviation. Or maybe we can use mean minus mode divided by standard deviation. But we choose the second one, which is mean minus mode divided by standard deviation. So for the test 2, we are using the second formula of the Pearson measures of skewness, which is mean minus mode divided by standard deviation. Okay. For test 2, the answer that we got by applying the formula into our calculation for the skewness is 0.32, which is it is more than 0, which is positively skewed. For final answer, the answer that we got for skewness is 0.61, which is it is also more than 0, so it is positively skewed. For the percentage, we got the skewness as much as negative 0.78, which is it is less than 0, and we assume that it is negatively skewed.
In conclusion, we learned that this descriptive statistic topic in business statistics is essential for us to learn and understand. This topic helps us greatly in identifying and classifying data into a more simplified information. We now know how to carefully select the data and how to turn them into tables and graphical information. We also learn on how to make the information readable and interpret the data just by reading the graph. We know how to use pie chart, bar graph, histogram, frequency polygon, and also ogive. Lastly, we came to realize that this topic will help us further in the next work that regards statistic matter in our real-life situation.
Our recommendation for this method is organizing a program where the students who got good grades and perform well in their tests and exam help those students who are not doing so well in it. This program is called the Mentor-Mentee program. The main reason why we recommend this method is that we believe that students get along well with their peers, so it will be easy for them to grasp what they are witness in the subject. By getting the peers' help, they will also be feeling confident and comfortable to ask anything they do not understand for the topic. The second recommendation that we would suggest to improve the students more is to arrange a workshop. This workshop will help students by enhancing their knowledge on the topic. By arranging workshops for students, they can have fun while engaging themselves with meeting new ways to get interested with the subject. Besides, this workshop teaches students on how or where to get marks because they get to check and tick their own answers. This way, they will likely to recognize their weakness on the certain part and they will be able to focus on the best way to improve themselves.